collected, used, disclosed or published publicly by the Council, including transferring outside Australia.
Council acknowledges that we're meeting on traditional country of the Kaurna people of the Adelaide Plains and pays respects to elders past and present. We recognise and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs and relationships with the land, and we also acknowledge that they are continuing importance to the Kaurna people living today. We also extend that respect to other Aboriginal language groups and other First Nations people who are present today. The Council, in addition, acknowledges the vision of Colonel William Light in determining the site for Adelaide and the design of the city, with its 6 squares and surrounding belt of continuous parklands, which is recognised on the National Heritage List as one of the greatest examples of Australia's planning heritage. I now ask the members present to take a moment for quiet contemplation of the gravity and implications of our decision-making in a manner appropriate to their beliefs. Furthermore, I ask all those present to stand in silence in memory of those who gave their lives in defence of their country at sea, on land and in the air. Thank you, members. Please take your seats. I should acknowledge the apologies and leave of absence of Councillor Kouros, Councillor Lee and Councillor Ho, and now move on to the confirmation of minutes. Could I ask that someone move the minutes of the special meeting of Council on the 6th of July and the routine Council meeting on the 11th of July? Could they be taken as read and confirmed as an accurate record? Moved by Councillor Davis, seconded by the Deputy Lord Mayor. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you, members. I have one deputation this evening, Mr David Ness, who wishes to speak to us about recycled building and embedded energy, I think. Mr Ness, would you like to come forward and go to the dais? Is the microphone switched on? Thank you. You have 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Honourable Lord Mayor and councillors, I stand before you as a concerned resident and university professor because I believe we are at a crossroads in the history of our fair city. I have researched to retrofit and rebuild options for over 20 years and published a book on the impacts of overbuilding, kindly launched by Councillor Martin in 2019. I also have over 30 years' experience in the state government, including risk management approaches to managing compliance of existing and adapted buildings. But in response to the need to increase residential population in the city, current thinking seems dominated by the builder bigger and higher Adelaide lobby. This was exemplified by an article published by In Daily on the 19th of July, moving up how more residents will change the city skyline. Quoting from the State of the City Report 2023, Council's Chief Operating Officer stated the forecast growth of 17,374 would require 36 36-storey residential buildings, noting that this was only a projection of what could occur. Along similar lines, a speaker at Adelaide Economic Development Agency Conference 2023 argued that many of Adelaide's older office buildings should be wiped from the skyline. In addition, AEDA supports a stream of major new city-shaping projects that I estimate would alone generate over 200 million kilograms of embodied carbon. So where will it end? Adaptive reuse and sufficiency. On the other hand, the Lord Mayor and others have advocated adaptive reuse as a means of accommodating increased city residents based upon converting vacant office space for housing. I was encouraged by attending the Capital Cities Committee Adaptive Reuse Forum on the 5th of May. On the previous evening, the 4th of May, the Lord Mayor and some of you and employees of the Council attended the first International Sufficiency Summit, which I co-organised with the International Panel for Climate Change lead author, Dr. Yamina Sahab, with the support of UniSA and the prestigious Sciences Po Paris. Sufficiency involves policies and practices that avoid demand for energy, materials and land, while enabling well-being for all within planetary boundaries. The summit included sessions on urban development, clothing and food, plus a ministerial discussion involving the Deputy Premier. The Lord Mayor kindly took part in session 1 on urban sufficiency when adaptive reuse was again highlighted. Please note that the summit program and recording of proceedings are now available, and a summary which I prepared will be published by the World Resources Forum in a couple of days. Leading private sector firms, including Arup and I think Haim Charlie, have strongly advocated retrofit, which is the approach pursued in Europe and by the City of London. Arup conducted seminars on rebuild versus regenerate, and another one on re-life, transforming buildings, when assessment of embodied carbon was seen as a game changer. Submissions to Council. In an effort to gain more consideration to the adaptive reuse option, including embodied carbon and sufficiency, UniSA and I have made a series of submissions to Council administration. There was my submission on the draft City of Adelaide Climate Policy and Action Plan, December 22, when I asked for embodied carbon and sufficiency to be considered. My submission to Council via Mr Greg Ratch on my SA Government Award-winning risk management approach to compliance of existing buildings, May 23, a meeting of UniSA representatives with the City Shaping Group on the 5th of June this year. This was followed by a University SA discussion paper on an alternative conversation for city shaping on the 16th of June, and a more specific UniSA submission 13th of July on how a precinct information model may inform decisions on adaptive reuse. We are still awaiting a considered response to all these approaches. An alternative narrative. So I should be most grateful if Council would please support a close study of the adaptive reuse option to accommodate more city residents along the lines UniSA has suggested, which could focus on a selected precinct. This could examine how population increase could be managed without the need for so many 36-storey apartment towers, consider possible savings in embodied carbon, waste and cost, and also examine ways of achieving compliance while fostering a more livable, reactivated, smart and sufficient city. As a follow-up of the Sufficiency Summit, the study could involve consultation with AEDA, the Economic Development Agency, the Property Council and others to ascertain the implications for business and industry examine alternative business models and state government and city council policy changes such as planning, building and climate change that may be required. And finally, I stand ready to assist as a caring, concerned city resident who professes wide knowledge of this field. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we'll move on now to item 8.1, and I would ask the member to move that we receive a petition of 165 signatures distributed separately. Speaking of a request to refrain from closing and demolishing the existing swimming centre. Someone moved by Councillor Abrahimzadeh, seconded by Councillor Davis. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, members. We now have the recommendations that have been carried forward from this evening's meeting. 9.1, I don't know if people want to take this in parts, or would you be prepared to move it as one report? Councillor Abrahimzadeh is moving all together, seconded by Councillor Siebentritt. Is there any discussion on that? If not, I'll move it. All those in favour? Against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, members. And then we would move on to 9.2, which is the Infrastructure and Public Works Committee. I don't know if this would be better taken in parts, or are we happy to take this as one? Councillor Abrahimzadeh altogether, seconded by Councillor Elliott. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. Moving on to 10.1, which is an amendment to the representation of the Caterpillar Board because of a change in membership of the Aboriginal representatives, and it's to rotate the current chairperson in. Moved by Councillor Snape, seconded by the Deputy Lord Mayor. All those in favour? That's carried against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, members. And my Lord Mayor's report is rather brief this week, as I've been away on leave, and I would particularly like to thank the Deputy Lord Mayor for his sterling service and representation. He's worked extremely hard, hosting a function at the Town Hall to listen to the concerns of small businesses within the CBD, and hopefully he'll report to us on that. He worked with Renew Adelaide and discussed issues that are of importance to the small business sector, so I'm most grateful for that. There was also a 50th anniversary of the Jam Factory, Contemporary Craft and Design. This is a period when there are lots of 50-year anniversaries reflecting the Dunstan era, so we'll be having some more in the next few months, I'm sure. There was also a launch of the 2023 Regenerate in the Adelaide Parklands project, and a civic event which was highly successful, and I thank the Deputy Lord Mayor for the North Adelaide Society. On my return to Australia, I stopped in Melbourne for 2 days and attended the Capital City Lord Mayor's discussions. It was for their AGM. There was much debate about the Senate and the housing funding that has been held up. There was discussion about our refit and refurb strategy, and there was ongoing work about how we might work together. So I'll be reporting on that more fully shortly. So if I could ask that someone could move my report, moved by Councillor Abrahimzadeh, seconded by Councillor Davis. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. I don't know if anybody else would like to make any reports. Deputy Lord Mayor, would you like to?
Oh, look, I wasn't going to, Lord Mayor, but thank you for the invitation. And I would like to perhaps reference the meeting that was held a week ago in the Queen Adelaide Room. And I must say, Lord Mayor, with your support and suggestion, we invited business owners from the city who were not trading in Rundle Mall nor eligible for membership of any precinct group, but who nevertheless felt that the City of Adelaide needed to hear their concerns, concerns which affected, they believe, their trading conditions. And primarily their concerns were about a fall in foot traffic in the city, which has followed COVID. They were particularly concerned about lease conditions being applied in the city. It was suggested to us at the public meeting that there are some landlords in the city who are still offering leases to traders at what are probably higher than market rates, and in the words of one trader, take no notice of the decline in foot traffic in the city. There were other issues too raised, including the possibility that working from home may be enshrined in industrial awards, and that too concerned them. The consensus of the room was that there were many problems affecting a small business, and we concluded the discussion talking about the possibility of there being a traders group formed to represent them in the City of Adelaide, and indeed it was suggested at the end of the meeting that that was to progress. All in all, Lord Mayor, it was an illuminating meeting and an occasion to hear from traders we don't normally hear from in the city. Thank you.
Give a report.
Yes, thank you. I represented the Lord Mayor at the launch of, and it was the inaugural, Pathway to Politics for Women. It was interesting that I was there. So, but it's free to participants to actually be involved, and aims to change the face of politics by equipping women with skills, knowledge to run for elected office and to actually thrive. What I found really great with this forum was that it was refreshing to see the appetite that experienced political females had in supporting the new era, and it was really great to actually see that, and that they didn't actually want to just impart their knowledge, but for them to actually thrive in this very difficult environment that we're in. Thank you.
Councillor Stephen-Dritt.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Hot off the press, and it's not actually in the papers, but I attended, representing the Lord Mayor this morning, the Australian Sustainable Built Environment Council meeting, which was held at the National Wine Centre. And I thought I'd share some feedback on that, because the points are raised that I thought were of significance to the City of Adelaide were our challenge in addressing growing population, adaptive reuse, and genuinely what sustainability means. And I think the feedback we received in presenting that was an issue that's in common with many other cities around Australia and indeed around the world. And it was suggested towards the end of the session that there is an opportunity for the City of Adelaide, as they described it as a leading council in Australia, to perhaps work together with other leading councils, such as in Melbourne or Sydney, to further explore what a roadmap might be for how we do create more sustainable and climate resilient cities. So it would appear to be there is an opportunity there, but also the good work of the council in the past was recognised.
Thank you. Councillor Snape.
To be very brief, just to say that on Wednesday the 12th of July, I was invited to represent the Lord Mayor at the Australian Institute of Conveyancers, South Australian Division, and I had a very wonderful evening representing you, Lord Mayor. I was on my best behaviour, and I'd like to thank the CEO, Carmel Noon, for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you for representing me. Councillor Abrahimzadeh.
Lord Mayor, I represented you earlier this month at the SA Architecture Awards, and I thought it might be worthwhile for me to highlight that the City of Adelaide Architecture Prize went to the City Skate Park in the Gladys Selfick Park. But also there was another category that was the People's Choice Awards, and that went to the Mixed Bookstore in Rundle Mall in the old Regent Theatre. So there were many other awards and participants, but I thought those two were the highlight that the Chamber might like to hear about.
Thank you for telling us about that. Recommendations as printed, 1, 2 and 3. Moved by Councillor Davis, seconded by Councillor Siebentrit. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, members. And we have no questions on notice. Can you scroll down? We have no questions without... Oh, yes, Councillor Davis.
Sorry, I didn't give you notice. I just wanted to ask, last council meeting there was a talk about the rate rebates for different properties within the city, and I raised the question regarding a number of residential properties which were marked as educational, and they had those, and they had actually specific people's names next to them. And I just wanted to follow up if that might be available. I know I've been locked out of my computer, but perhaps not now, but perhaps later. I just want to follow up on that. I might have missed the email to me.
Can I just ask if that material's available, Mr. Sedgman? Is it your area?
Through the presiding member, it certainly is. I wasn't at the last council meeting. I'll need to follow that up with Mr. Spartellis.
I understand it was an undertaking to bring the material back, so we'll get it back in the next week or two, maybe?
I'll pursue it tomorrow as a matter of urgency.
Lord Mayor, in late June I brought a question on notice that was related to the allocation of P&D funding. I know that administration have been following the department and potentially the Minister's Office for a response. Through you, Lord Mayor, am I able to just get an update to see whether if there's been a response yet or not? No, we're still waiting.
There's been no response at all, I think, has there?
No, nothing that we've received as yet.
Okay, thank you, Lord Mayor.
If there are no other questions on that notice, we'll move on through the agenda. Thank you. There is a motion on notice, and I understand Councillor Siebentrit is drawn as chair.
Yes, I'd need to declare a material conflict of interest, Lord Mayor. Great, okay.
Siebentrit is leaving the room, having declared an interest. Councillor Snape. Seconded Councillor Noon's motion. Thank you. Councillor, would you like to speak?
Yes. Look, this all came about as I was requested to represent the Lord Mayor at the launch of the strategy. And as reported last council meeting, and I also distributed the strategy to my fellow councillors. Monday the 17th, the Deputy Lord Mayor invited us all to the Small City Business Forum, as he spoke about previously, where there was a sample of our city's small businesses in attendance. We listened to their issues, which were wide and varied. I actually took this as an opportunity to ask this room if they had been involved with the development of this strategy, if they knew about this strategy, and absolutely no one in the room actually said they did. I actually take the administration's comments on board here, and I was not familiar with the extent of what I guess the interaction that AIDA has been having with the Minister around this issue. So I actually, after I put the strategy forward and commented that I had been repping and everything, nobody told me that there had been this relationship between AIDA in the formation of this particular strategy with our small businesses. But I must admit that not one person, and remind you what I just said, that not one person put their hand up in that room that said that they were involved or knew about this strategy. And yet their issues align to this strategy and to the assistance that the state government want to give these small and family businesses. I actually met with the advisor on Monday this week, the Minister's advisor, and we had a long discussion about this. and he gave me a whole lot of materials and everything to distribute to everybody here, which I have in my office. He suggested, and it may change this particular motion because I actually did not know at the time that we had already been engaging with them. Not sure how successfully, based on that sample of our businesses in the room on that Monday night, the 17th. But he suggested that we actually get the Minister, and she would be more than happy to actually present in a forum that we organise to our small and family businesses in our city, and that she would present the strategy and the various areas of the strategy that could help small businesses that we heard of the other night, and that the staff of the Office of Small and Family Business would then be available to actually talk to our precinct groups about the strategy and how it could assist them. So perhaps an amendment to this motion is to invite the Minister Andrea Michaels, the Minister of Small and Family Business, to present the strategy at a City Small Business Forum, and the staff of the Office of Small and Family Business to work with our precinct groups on this strategy. Because, look, the strategy is fantastic. It took many people, many resources, many weeks to actually put this together, although it was actually done in a very small period of time for what they achieved. It's really impressive. It addresses so many issues for small and family businesses. I don't think we should reinvent the wheel here. We should actually collaborate with the state government on this strategy and push it as much as possible to our ratepayers, our small and family business ratepayers. And I think that this would be a great message of the state and local government working together on this issue, and it could set precedent for all the other local government council, areas in South Australia, because the roundtables that developed this actual strategy was actually across South Australia, and I was actually one of in fact, I was the first roundtable to be consulted on under the professions, which is my
So
day
can
job.
I ask your seconder if he'd be happy to incorporate the amendment or the addition of and invite the Minister to address a roundtable at the Town Hall?
Of course, yes.
Is that all right, Councillor?
Yes.
So we'll just amend and invite the Minister to address a roundtable at the Town Hall. Discussion with, yes, we can probably table discussion at the Town Hall. Is that all right, Councillor? I'm sorry,
Yes.
I'm verbling you here, putting this together. If everyone's happy and your seconder doesn't want to speak, we'll put that motion, unless you'd like to sum up, we'll put the motion. All those in favour? Oh, sorry, a question, Councillor. I apologise.
So with this round table, how will we, I just want to understand the mechanics of it. Will we be engaging AIDA to bring in small businesses, or how will we go about picking and choosing the businesses? I'm just not sure about...
Well, I think it would be helpful to use AIDA. They've got the resources in the mailing list,
Yes,
haven't they?
I actually would like to, obviously, this is, AIDA is also having these discussions with the Minister's office, so it would be silly not to involve them. Yes. But it's really interesting that none of those businesses on that Monday night, and you were there, you witnessed when I asked that question, not one person knew what I was talking about. And so many of those people in that room have contacted me since then about the strategy. So, I'm not sure how we invite a really good cross-section of our small and family businesses in our city to be involved with this forum, but it won't be the first. I think that it will be just the beginning of the Minister sort of giving this, launching it in a sense to this cohort, but there's a whole lot of other stuff we can do around this. And I do also have an issue, and I've put a question on notice for the next council about Business SA and what we fund there, because that was a bit of an issue that was raised on that Monday night, because there was a perception in the room that the council used to offer this service to small and family businesses in the city of Adelaide. We used to have a team, and people used to actually. It's the first time anyone's asked me to put a microphone on. So, but you know, we used to have people that actually go out and used to address businesses' issues. We don't have that anymore because we actually fund that through AIDA. Yep, summing up. Through AIDA. Thank you. So we fund this through AIDA, through Business SA. Sorry?
It's just an extension of time.
Yeah. Just so you know that there is a question here about what we actually fund with AIDA, through Business SA, through AIDA. Now, I believe, based on the board meeting this morning with AIDA and the discussion around this, the actual contract ceased at the end of December, and that we actually have just monthly, an ongoing agreement, but it's not formalised. So we have an opportunity here to actually look at this, because the expectations of our ratepayer community versus what we did last time versus what we actually do with Business SA, there's a divide in all of this that we need to plug.
So, members, are you prepared to vote for this? Can I move? All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Stephen Tritt, is he lurking outside? So we move a confidential. Oh, yes. Where is the motions without notice? So 16, this is a motion without notice that we've received. The Council requests administration to provide a report to the next Infrastructure and Public Works Committee on the development options associated with the Pitt Street development, including consultation, design outcomes, development timelines and next steps. Moved by Councillor Davis, seconded by the Deputy Lord Mayor. Yes, I'm sorry.
I have a material conflict of interest. I'm a member of the Festival Centre Trust, which has a strong position in relation to this matter.
Thank you, Deputy
I will
Lord
declare
Mayor.
that a material conflict and leave the room.
I apologise, I should have remembered that. Sorry. Councillor Elliott, seconded. Would you like to speak to that, or shall we just put it to the vote, Councillor? Would you like to? All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Could we ask the Deputy Lord Mayor to return? Didn't get very far, did you? Councillor Davis. Sorry? Moving the confidentiality motion number 17. Seconded by Councillor Abrahimzadeh. All those in favour? Against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, Professor Ness. We're going to move into confidentiality now, so can I ask you to leave? Thank you. That was 18.1, and now exclude for item 19.1. Could someone else move that? Councillor Abrahimzadeh, Councillor Siebentrit seconded. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, members. So we'll now move on to item I think that it's now the end of the meeting. I will close the meeting and thank you for your diligence.